Imagine you're standing in a store. There's a pair of sneakers you've been eyeing for months. The price tag says 240. Your wallet says no. But then you see it, a little button that says pay just 60 today. Suddenly, it feels affordable. You tap the button, you walk out with the shoes, you feel great. But here's the thing nobody tells you. You didn't escape the $240 price tag. You just made it invisible. And that invisibility, that's exactly how millions of people are quietly falling behind financially without even realizing it. Today, we're talking about buy now, pay later, what it actually is, why it feels so good, and why it might be one of the sneakiest traps in modern personal finance. Let's be honest, money is emotional. So we don't always make financial decisions based on logic. We make them based on how something feels in the moment. And right now, pay later, or BNPL, feels really good. Services like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, and Zip have exploded in popularity. Billions of dollars are spent through these platforms every single year. And the users? Mostly people between 18 and 40, young, ambitious, and trying to enjoy life while building their future. The pitch is simple. Split your purchase into 4 easy payments. No interest, no credit check, no problem. Sounds like a win, right? Here's the common belief people have. If I can afford the installments, I can afford the thing. That one belief, that one mental shortcut, is costing people thousands of dollars a year. Let's break down exactly why. First, let's understand what's actually happening when you use buy now, pay later. You want something, it costs $200. Instead of paying $200 now, you pay $50 every 2 weeks for 4 payments. Mathematically, it's the same thing. But psychologically, it's completely different. Here's why. Our brains have a really hard time feeling pain that happens in the future. Psychologists call this temporal discounting. We discount future costs and overvalue present rewards. In other words, 200 today feels like a punch in the stomach. But $50 2 weeks from now? Barely a pinch. BNPL companies know this. They've built their entire business model around it. By breaking one big payment into 4 small ones, they transform the feeling of a purchase. The psychological pain of spending drops dramatically, even though the financial reality hasn't changed at all. Think of it like this. Imagine someone hands you a bucket of cold water and says, I'm going to pour this on you. You'd brace yourself. You'd feel the shock all at once. Now imagine they pour it in 4 small cups, one every 2 weeks. Each time it barely registers. Same water, completely different experience. That's what BNPL does to your money. Now here's where it gets really interesting and really dangerous. Because the problem isn't just one purchase. The real trap is what happens when you start stacking purchases. Here's a scenario that's way more common than people admit. You use BNPL to buy those sneakers in January, $60 a month. Then in February, your phone screen cracks. You use BNPL for the repair, another $30 a month. March comes and there's a sale on a jacket you've wanted. BNPL, $40 a month. April, concert tickets, $50 a month. Look at that. You haven't taken out a loan. You haven't maxed out a credit card. But somehow you've quietly committed $180 every single month to the things you bought months ago. And each time you made the purchase, it felt affordable because you only saw the small number, not the growing total. This is called installment blindness. Each purchase looks manageable in isolation, but stacked together, they create a silent financial drain that chips away at your income month after month. There's another layer to this too. Studies on consumer psychology show that when people use payment methods that reduce the immediate pain of payment, like credit cards, digital wallets, or BNPL, they tend to spend more overall. Not because they're irresponsible, but because the brain's natural spending brake, that uncomfortable feeling of handing over money, gets muted. Cash feels real. Tapping a phone feels abstract. And BNPL feels like the purchase is almost free right now. That feeling is a lie, but it's a very convincing one. Here's the deeper idea I want you to sit with. Wealth isn't built by earning more. Wealth is built by keeping more of what you earn and putting it to work. And every dollar you commit to a future installment is a dollar you can't invest, can't save, can't use to build something that grows. Think about compound interest. the idea that money grows on itself over time. If you invest $200 instead of spending it, that $200 doesn't just stay $200. Over years, it multiplies. But if that $200 is locked into 4 future payments for something you already consumed, it's gone. And so is everything it could have become. This is the real cost of BNPL that nobody talks about. It's not just the money you spend, it's the future money you give up. And the worst part? BNPL is designed to feel like the smart choice, like you're being strategic, like you're managing your cash flow. But there's a difference between managing cash flow and delaying financial consequences. One builds wealth, the other just hides debt in plain sight. There's also a psychological phenomenon at play here called the endowment effect. Once you own something, once those sneakers are on your feet, you stop thinking about what they cost. The mental accounting closes, the emotional transaction is complete. But the financial transaction, that's still open. Those payments are still coming, and you've already gotten the reward. Now you're just paying the bill, and your brain barely notices. So what do you actually do with this information? First, do a BNPL audit. Right now, if you're using any of these services, add up every active payment plan you have. Every single one. Write down the total monthly commitment. See the full picture. Most people who do this are genuinely surprised. The total is almost always bigger than they thought. Second, apply the full price rule. Before you use BNPL, ask yourself, can I afford this at full price right now in cash? If the answer is no, that's your answer. The installment plan isn't making it affordable, it's making it feel affordable. There's a big difference. Third, use BNPL only as a cash flow tool, not a permission slip to spend beyond your means. There are smart ways to use it, like spreading out a large planned purchase you were going to make anyway while keeping your cash available for higher yield opportunities. But using it to buy things you otherwise couldn't afford? That's not financial strategy. That's a slow leak in your financial foundation. And fourth, start treating your future self like a real person who deserves to keep some money. Every installment you commit today is a tax on your future self. The more taxes you pile on, the less freedom tomorrow's version of you has. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. The sneakers were $240. You knew that. You saw the price tag. But the moment they offered you 4 payments of 60, something shifted in your brain. The number shrank. The pain faded. The desire stayed exactly the same. That's not a coincidence. That's design. That's a business model built on understanding human psychology better than most humans understand themselves. The companies offering BNPL aren't doing you a favor. They're doing themselves one. Because every time you split a payment, you spend more freely, buy more things, and stay one step further away from the financial freedom you actually want. The path to wealth isn't paved with easier payments. It's paved with harder decisions. Choosing to wait, to save, to invest, to build. So next time you see that little button that says pay just X today, pause. Ask yourself what the real price is. Not the installment, the total, the cost to your future self, the opportunity you're trading away. Because here's the truth about money that nobody puts in the advertisement. Feeling like you can afford something and actually being able to afford it are two completely different things. And knowing the difference, that's where wealth begins.